Well, hello there. Welcome to, I guess you could call it our first proper episode for Schlockaholics, which is a brand spanking new B-movie podcast I'm going to be running with my dudes here, Cody Tudor and Septum Sin from Septum Sin versus the World. I, of course, am Mosley. You guys know that. We're throwing this one out on my channel, but it's also going to be cross-posted on the Schlockaholics channel, which the link for that will be in the description when this is done. You guys should come over and subscribe because we're going to be talking about all types of rad B movies. We're going to be starting our journey today with a film from Sterling Entertainment, David Sterling. You know, it's a dude I think we're all solid fans of. We've collected a lot of his stuff. A lot of it is going to be featured on this show. It comes to us from the Axe Grinder collection, which you can get directly from David Sterling on Facebook or from MakeFlix. Pretty solid set here. The film that we are going to be discussing is the first of 5 films in this series, all of which will be covered eventually. But obviously that is Axe Grinder. In addition to that, you have Axe Grinder 2, Axe Grinder 3, which I believe our boy Joe Sherlock did that one, didn't he, Cody?
He sure did. Him and Joseph Boogly co-directed it.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty fun entry, actually. Slightly different direction maybe than the first two, but, you know, that's what we love Joe for. And then you got 4 and 5, which, if memory serves, is kind of like a joint affair there. So a lot of films to dive into in this series. 5 so far. I imagine probably several more coming in the future. So check it out. Axe Grinder set. MakeFlix. David Sterling. So all of us have seen this film before, I am pretty sure. So this is definitely not our first foray into the series. Hey, what's up, Michael McNally? Glad to have you, bud. But we're going to go ahead and run through our general first impressions, or general impressions anyway, on Axe Grinder. But before we jump into that, we do have a little trailer to show you guys. So enjoy. Hey, kitty. And we will be back here momentarily. Hit that like button for that kitty. He deserves it.
You know, if it's too cramped up there, you can come sit on my lap.
All right, kiddies, buckle up. It's gonna be a wild ride.
On a weekend excursion, 6 friends discovered that Freddie Palmer is more than an urban legend.
A year after Freddie was burned in his cabin, a group of young campers were brutally slaughtered in these very woods.
Ooh, Freddie, here we come.
He's real.
Well, hell, that's quite the trailer there. So, you know, as you viewers at home have gathered, I'm sure this is a solid little low-budget slasher film here. Came out in 2006, directed by David Palmieri. I think that's how you say that. So I guess we'll start with you, Cody. What was your first impressions when you saw Axe Grinder?
Oh, baby boy.
I mean, I want to say I got it shortly after I got the Camp Blood box set, and I mean they pair well together. It's definitely similar kind of, you know, range camera in the woods. But I mean, I really liked it. It was a fun watch. I think they did pretty good with this one.
Indeed, definitely makes up for a couple of those Camp Blood films, as I'm sure Septum Sin will elaborate on. What were your thoughts on it, bud? First time you saw it.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, there it is. Sorry, Cat is playing with my mouse and messing with the computer.
No problem.
Right.
We'll get your thoughts in a minute, kitty. Settle down.
So I actually was first introduced to this series through the Camp Blood Kills movie. Movie being a loose term. I had supported that project when it was coming out, and essentially it was Sterling taking cuts of the kills from all of the then Camp Blood movies, Axe Grinder, and gosh, what was the other one? The
Occultist.
Thank you, that one, which also has a box set, which has 2 films in it. And so I had said to myself, I have got to get a hold of all the films that this has the kills from. And the Camp Blood ones were easy. I already had that. But I had not had I didn't even know X Grinder existed before then. And then so I already had the Cultist long before I'd heard of David Sterling. So it was kind of cool to see that. But yeah, this was kind of fun to have gotten into finally. I finally broke into the box set and just watched all of the Axe Grinder films back to back. So it was just kind of cool seeing it back and then revisiting it probably less than a month after I did that.
Nice.
Was kind of cool. I did like this. I felt like this was a return to form in a way because Camp Blood series itself has kind of had a falling out when it comes to the way that they do things. I think they came to their own return to form in 666, but 3, 4, and 5 kind of went in a very different direction than the Sykes films. And this kind of feels like how the films probably should have progressed as opposed to how they did.
Right. You could easily look at this as like this should have been probably what they did instead of Camp Blood 3. They should have just called this one Camp Blood 3 or something. But I'm glad that they exist in parallel to each other as well. But
it feels like a Camp Blood film.
It does. You could be forgiven if you saw these and just thought that they were alternate titles for Camp Blood movies, like as a layman coming into it blind. I got into all this David Sterling stuff through you and our other friend, Dave. You guys were big, into it, or at least enthusiastic about the Camp Blood movies, I think is when I initially became interested in it. And it's hard not to want to collect these box sets, man. I mean, I think there's 10 of them at this point. 9 if you don't count the fact that, the Sherlock set basically got released twice. They're just super fun to collect, though. The artwork is amazing. I like the fact that even these ones that only start with 2 films, you can add more into them as they come out and shit. A little nervous with the Occultist one. I'm hoping that they do enough movies to fill that box, because it would be weird to have it just sitting there with only 2 movies in it forever. But, we'll take what we get. I really enjoy this film. I'm a huge fan of no-nonsense slasher movies, This is sort of the perfect, party film in a way. You just chuck it on with some friends, have some beer, some popcorn, watch some kids get killed in the woods, Backstory, too, it's pretty simple. So there's not a lot that you really need to follow, which also makes it, well-suited for those beer and popcorn sessions. Yeah, man, I mean, it's got some solid gore in there, some really crappy CGI, but in a charming kind of a way. And it's just, everything you kind of want in these sort of films. So looking forward to checking out the sequels. I've only ever seen the second one in addition to the first one. So I got that Joe Sherlock action to send me on my way into the rest of the series. Probably do that tonight, actually. I mean, what else is there to really say about it? It's pretty much advertised as, hot chicks, handsome dudes, and tons of blood. And that's pretty much what it delivers, So I guess to sum up the backstory, there is these kids going on a camping trip. They're telling, each other these ghost stories periodically throughout the film. The main one that they keep circling back to, because the other ones suck, is this urban legend about this guy, Freddie Palmer, I believe is the name. I don't know. What do you guys think about the Freddie Palmer backstory?
It's your typical. I mean, you've got this just does follow the numbers of your typical slasher, camp slasher film, Friday the 13th. Someone, people tell this tale of this person who had this thing happen to them, and now they're coming back and killing everybody who comes into the woods. You got to have your setup, because otherwise it's, you can't get them killed because they don't do stupid shit.
Pretty much. I do like how it kind of combines, in essence, Freddy's backstory with a little bit of Friday the 13th, because the whole thing with Freddie Palmer, I think, and as according to the urban legend, is that he'd been killing people or whatever. And the townsfolk found out and were pissed, so they came and like set his cabin on fire and burned him alive or whatever. So it's, you know, shades of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Burning, and that's very intentional. I think they actually quote a couple of those films in this movie too, as well, don't they?
I mean, almost like he got two backstories put together. Like Saul's
Right.
parents get murdered, and then like he also it's burned to death in a cabin. So it's like just he's got a lot of bad stuff happening to him.
Yeah, pretty much what Cody's alluding to is there was like a home invasion situation where all these dudes in clown masks came and like killed his mom in front of him. And then like gave him a knife, I think, and he got a mask, and the rest is history. You know, here we are.
Told when you're older, you'll understand. That's
Yeah.
what the last guy told.
Yeah, and he sure does. He takes right to it. So we got our, you know, standard group of like party animal kids going out into the woods for a weekend of camping. What do you guys think of our group of, well, they're supposed to be 20 somethings, but one of those ladies looks like she might be like 40. What do you guys think of our group of kids?
I mean, they definitely tried to get, you know, one each generic. You got the nerd and like the preppy prick, and you got the blonde, and then the airhead, I guess. And they definitely try to hit all the bases for generic kids going in the woods.
Yeah, it's your standard like slasher movie rule.
Oh,
I think we lost him.
well, yeah, very by the numbers, I would say, as far as this is considered. I would say all of them are right there by the numbers.
I especially like that nerd kid for some reason. I don't know why I get a kick out of him in this film. His voice is very familiar as well. Like him and the dude that like is telling the Freddie Palmer story at the campfire. Both of those guys I'm pretty sure I've seen in other stuff. I just can't place them. I probably should have did my homework before we jumped into this, but yeah, none of them are very remarkable. And actually, I think this was nudity free, wasn't it? We don't even get to see any of those titties outside of that first jogger lady. So, you know, they don't bring a lot to the table other than the body count. That's fine.
Come to think of it, that is weird. A David Sterling film where they don't have highlighted nudity. That is kind of odd.
No gratuitous shower scenes, nothing. Even the girl, when she went swimming, was in like a proper bikini, you know. Could have been on an issue of Sports Illustrated or something. So which probably was, didn't you end up watching this with your oldest kid, Cody?
I did not. I watched it, and then I actually went back to back. I watched it with the commentary because there was a few things that happened. And I was like, I really hope he explains this stuff because it doesn't really make any sense. Like there's a part in the beginning of it where it looks like he's wearing an inside out mask.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's supposed to be like his burned face or.
That's what I was hoping always.
And he didn't mention that at all in the commentary. And that's exactly what it looked like as they turned the mask inside out for a scene or two.
Yeah. It's real goofy looking. It reminds me of that Tortilla Man, the new member of Slipknot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's pretty strange. There's also a part for some reason, like when that girl is getting killed in the water, it's like slow mode and played in reverse. I don't know if that was to give it like a strange quality to it. It worked, but I'd like to hear some type of logic behind that. Did they mention that at all in the commentary?
No, the other big thing I noticed is if you see Freddie Palmer's jersey changes. He'd mentioned in the commentary, I guess they lost that jersey and had to redo some scenes. So like they just found a red sweatshirt. I mean, if you look for it now, you can't miss it. But they just found like another red sweatshirt and like with Sharpie wrote the number 11 on it. But I mean, you can definitely tell it's not the same thing.
Oddly enough, on the point of the jersey there, every time I've pulled this out to watch it without fail, someone asks like, why does he have a pause symbol on his shirt? You know, my kid asked it, my cousin asked it, and my brother. So it does look like the, you know what I mean, like the pause icon.
Right. Yeah.
Strange. I wonder what the significance of the 11 was, if there was any. It's an odd choice. It's an odd number.
I'm sure it was the one they found, and it was on sale. So that was
Right.
the one.
Yeah. So it's just what they had.
Right.
I guess the Blu-ray art makes it seem more iconic than it is. This doesn't even feature it, the poster that we're looking at here.
Right.
Yeah, there's some oddities in this film for sure. That stuff, I didn't notice the sweater. I'm definitely gonna probably not be able to unsee it though now. So thank you, Cody.
You're welcome.
So is it just David Sterling on the commentary, or is there?
It's not him. It's David Palmieri.
Oh, cool.
I wish
I wanted to make time for that, but I just didn't.
Yeah, it's just him. I don't know that Sterling's ever done a commentary track. I wish he would.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be fascinating.
Please God, give me one of those.
Yeah, please, David, give us those commentaries. I'll record them with you. We'll sit there. I'll brush your fucking mullet out while you record that shit. So really, I guess, we've already set up, that's the whole plot of the movie, is that, dude is killing people in the woods in a clown mask. There's these kids that are mildly annoying, not annoying enough to make you not enjoy the movie, but not charming enough to really have much to say about them. They get dead. That's pretty much what goes on here. So I guess we can kind of just run this as like almost just a sequence of favorite scenes and stuff. I guess the first sequence we get is the jogger lady. She's just kind of running through the woods, and I think there's like a sort of rapey fella that gets on her for a minute, and then old Freddie Palmer comes in there and rescues her, and then he just impales her on a branch. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
He's a very sturdy rapey fellow, because after he gets like impaled, isn't he the one that comes back at the end of it to attack Freddy, or was it somebody else?
I'm not sure. Is it the same guy?
Yeah.
He took some damage. He just came back. He's a camp killer in his own self.
He was the random truck stop tweaker was a great addition to this movie. I've seen it a couple of times now, and it still boggles my mind when he shows up. Like, what the fuck is this? Did they explain it in the second one? I don't even remember.
No, I don't. None of these, with the exception of 4 and 5, none of them kind of follow the previous one.
Yeah, it's super strange that he's included, because it's really just not explained. I don't think he's got some history with Freddy, but maybe he's just mad at him for like interrupting his rape at the beginning of the film. He's super pissed about it though. Me and Cody have intimate experience with dudes like those at the gas stations, and they get him pretty spot on.
You betcha. Yeah.
Some angry tweaker wandering out of the night. It's a fun moment. All right. So yeah, we get that initial sequence. He rescues the girl and then kills her. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It's a fun setup for the film. It's what do they call those? Like a cold open. There's no context to it. It's just this dude in a inside out rubber mask poking a girl with a tree branch.
You think maybe she's supposed to be the main character, and then she ends up dying in the first scene.
Yep, and then bizarrely coming back at the end, which we will touch on. And then after that, our kids go out in the woods. They end up pretty much having their car put out of commission, in a sense, at least briefly, because of the best, absolute best, like roadside sort of slasher gag I've ever seen with those fake bunnies, man.
I think that's where the whole budget went.
I could believe it, because they were realistic, let me tell you. I've seen a lot of various, you watch enough of these slasher films, you see a whole varieties of traps or gimmicks that these killers use to, strand these people on the side of the road. Or, you just have natural events that make them happen, like the actual rabbit in The Hills Have Eyes, which I can't help but think that this is kind of a reference to. But yeah, he's just pulling some stuffed bunnies on a string across the road, and the one girl's like, no, and fucking sends him flying off the fucking road.
Then he yanks them back and starts slapping the fake bunnies.
Yeah, well, they didn't perform maybe as well as they could have. I don't know.
They got the car off the road.
It was effective. So, and that really has no bearing on the plot whatsoever. They get in the car
Mhm.
later, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It was just, maybe a flat tire, I think. I don't remember if it showed him change it or not, because it's really irrelevant to the entire plot. They were going to go to the woods anyways, so
Right. I guess
he
he
didn't
didn't
really
know
even
that.
need to do that. you know? But yeah, our kids end up out there and they start getting bumped off. That's pretty much the way that it goes, the way that it rolls. I think our first death is, who is our first death? I'm not 1,000% on the sequence of them there, because it all just kind of just happens. I mean, we get some general campfire stuff. There's like the girl. I think the girl that gets killed in the water might be the first death, actually.
If she's not, I thought when they were a guy and a girl in a tent.
They kind of stream together because they're very quick in succession. I mean, you got the one guy who leaves because the girl wants it rough, and then he kills her.
Oh yeah,
Kills
that part's
that one.
fun.
Then she comes
That's
back.
a-
He comes back in, and then she's like thinking it's him being rough with her, and it's like, yeah, do it more. And then
So
yeah.
great, dude. And then fucking Freddie Palmer's just choking her, ripping her fucking throat out, and those people are outside of the tent. Like, man, did they ever like stop? They just think they're in there banging, but really, she's getting murdered. That's definitely a highlight of the movie.
You see the blood pool down at the bottom.
I also really love that part where that dude passes out. Who passes out like 10 more minutes, mom, or whatever? And that girl, for some reason, still wants to hook up with that dork after that.
He's so pissed that night, and then the next morning, it's like all's forgiven.
Yeah, let's just go find a spot to get frisky in the woods and end up tied to a tree, and then he gets hacked to death, like right in front of her. That's a pretty good kill as well. Sort of on the side of all this, we have a super useless old camper dude that's out in the woods with his tiny little army surplus knife that they keep showing like it's supposed to be cool. I don't know if that was intentional humor or that was just the best knife that they could get, but he kind of briefly comes into play while those kids are getting, tied to the tree, and the other dude's like stepped into one of his traps that he said or something. I don't know. And he's like hung super low to the ground. Like his head's like this far from the ground. I don't know why they didn't pull him up higher for the shot. It just would have looked cooler, but whatever, they were
He's able to
doing
cut him free with
what they
his
could, I
little
guess. Yeah, that's his little tiny knife does come into play there when he cuts him down. Who else? I feel like we're missing a pretty obvious kill here.
Let's see.
Chick in the river, kids against the tree, girl in the tent.
We've got the jogger didn't die.
Oh, he rips that dude's arm off. The dude that didn't want to like get rough with the chick, he ends up ripping his arm off.
I know that the nerd guy ends up being like tied up in the tent, not in the tent, in his cabin later on, and then killed like carved up or something, and that was there.
That's probably the most mean-spirited scene in the film, I think, outside of like the home invasion flashbacks. But he's like twisting that bit on his leg, and then he eats it in front of him and shit. And wow, the movie takes a dark turn for a minute there.
If that's Freddy's cabin, he keeps himself pretty clean. It's a pretty clean cabin.
It is, it's not all gross like Jason's shack. It looks like it might not even smell that bad. All of his flesh that he's been collecting is in the fridge, so he's pretty fucking civilized as far as backwoods killers go, and cannibals.
I like that he likes to actually preserve the flesh of his victims, just so that he can make it last, just in case he has to go a few weeks. I wouldn't be surprised he has a nice little like salting and jerky operation.
Yeah, he's got a smoker out back for when he's feeling fancy. Well, he is preserving it in the fridge, like you said, so it leads you to believe he might even cook it sometimes. I mean, we only get to see him cannibalize raw meat in the film, but that was spur of the moment. He was just grabbing a little snack, like he might prepare proper meals with that shit. Harvesting some wild greens, making a stew. Pretty sophisticated cannibal, that Freddie Palmer.
I do like
to the general store.
Yeah, some Motel Hell shit, making that good jerky.
Yeah.
I do like that they do manage to give us a supernatural angle with him. especially when you see him without the mask on, the green blood, the maggots, all that stuff. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. What was with the scene? Okay, so the woman gets that scene where she's remembering eating a thing of oatmeal, but then served maggots and stuff. What was that about? I totally must have blanked out.
I
on what
feel
that-
like they don't
abusive
really
father.
explain it. What's that, Cody?
Like an abusive father, like memory.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
random. And
Yeah,
it really doesn't
really-
factor into the movie at all.
Oh.
It's like
they
And
need to fill a few more minutes.
And we forget the very, very first part of it where it sets up where the person I thought was Joel Wynkoop, but he said, no, that's not me, but I can definitely see why you think it's me because it sounds like me and looks like me. But unless they drugged me, it's not me.
no, these cats.
But where he ends up being, him and his wife get killed in the bed by the people wearing the clown masks. I'm not sure about that either, where that ties in.
Well, that's Freddie Palmer's backstory, right? Like,
Yeah.
or we're led to
Or
believe.
he's like watching where you see the small kid watching it, so therefore he is then there, because they call back to that scene again in later movies, I believe.
See, but we don't know. Okay, like there's several. For as much as we are simplifying this movie does attempt a couple of little red herrings with the plot. Like we're supposed to maybe think at the end that maybe that girl actually killed all of them. And that whole, random abusive father maggot soup flashback thing that she has is, I think, supposed to like plant the seed that she could be crazy or have some issues or something. I think that's what they were trying to do anyways. It's not super effective because we can clearly see that she's not the killer through the entire movie. But kind of that I think is set up maybe for the ending. It almost feels like they had the weird twist ending where she's in the mental hospital or whatever. And they thought maybe we should attempt to sort of explain this. And then they just lost interest in that subplot halfway through doing it. So they just plug in this random flashback that she has. The little kid that sees what's that, Cody?
Well, that was like they threw in later on where like Freddie's mom was reading him a bedtime story.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know if my friends found out that you read to me at night, they'd make fun of me. And it's like, why would you fucking tell them that, Freddie? What are you even getting at? What happens in your bedroom is none of their business.
I feel like there was a lot of fluff in here that didn't necessarily need to be in here. I think that it functions best when they were just straight out to the killing, to the by the numbers formula. When they were hitting that, I think that's where it was performing the best.
Exactly. It feels like they try to make it smarter than it needs to be with some of that stuff. Like the Freddy flashbacks, I get. The girl is kind of random. The inclusion of the angry truck stop tweaker is also pretty random. It just feels like it's put in there to overly complicate it, Thankfully, it doesn't take too much away from the overall film. But it is odd, because you could also think, like, is that Freddy we're seeing in those flashbacks? Or is it that tweaker dude? Like that. The first time I watched it, I was like, wait a minute. Is this dude, like, mad at him for killing his parents or something? Like it's a little confusing. I also didn't make the connection that he was the rapey guy at the beginning. So
yeah,
I'm starting to think he was just mad because of what happened at the beginning of the film. But he's saying some angry shit and some crazy ramblings when he shows up in this movie later on. And I imagine that gets quite the reaction when watched with the crowd, because it's like, who the fuck is this guy? And why is he so mad? Yeah, I mean, it turns out that Freddy, like you said, there's a supernatural angle involved here where he's really just full of like green apple Powerade and mealworms or whatever, and apparently doesn't even need a head, which I just laugh at hysterically every time I watch this, because it's just so bad the way that the way it's just like some stock CGI shit, but it looks so fucking great, dude. I love it.
Yeah, it's so bad, it's fantastic.
It is. It's absolutely astoundingly schlocky, and it's everything that we do this for. So, we basically end up with just our blonde chick left, the innocent sort of virginal girl. And, she's running down the highway, almost gets clipped by this dude that for some reason is like just riding around with a shotgun in his lap. and I think he's like trying to adjust his radio or something, and
As you do.
he almost yeah, exactly. I'm always just got the pistol grip pump on my lap at all times, like that Rage Against the Machine song. And he blows away our friendly neighborhood truck stop tweaker, thinking that it's the dude that is chasing her, even though she's repeatedly telling him, no, that's not the guy. And then he's like, it's okay, we took care of him. It's one less fucking tweaker in the world. And then he promptly gets axed by a headless Freddie Palmer. And that's sort of just where the movie goes off the rails into some strange twist ending where, did it even happen? Did she kill all of them? Why is the girl from the beginning of the movie alive again with like vivisection scars on her chest? It's strange. I don't know. What do you guys make of that ending? Because I've seen the movie a couple of times now, and I'm not certain how I feel about it.
I think the movie is best enjoyed without thinking about it at all, and just enjoying it and trying not to get lost in the lore, because there's a couple ways of doing the lore. Friday the 13th does a pretty good job of adding to it. Bad Ben is a series that, oddly enough, does an amazing job with its
expert shit.
It builds on it and it calls back to it on a regular. This one, I feel like the lore was kind of thrown in there as a second thought, and I don't know. I just feel like it works best when it's a mindless killing movie. And I love the supernatural angle. Just have the kids come in there, say the story about this guy, have him show up, start killing people, have them realize he's this undead killer who likes to keep his house neat, and that's it,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on with the fact that whatever lore, if you can call it that, is in this film is just kind of there so that it's not just a series of kill scenes, and that's fine. But I think I'd have probably leaned into her being the killer if I was going to even hint at it.
A lot of
the setup
just
to
a
it
bunch
just
of kill
doesn't.
scenes.
What's that, Cody?
I mean, he going back to the commentary, I figured with that part at the end, maybe there was plans on him doing the next one, but he didn't even really mention that in this commentary he did. I think he did it for the Blu-ray, so it was like 15 years, 14, 15 years afterward. But I mean, I would have been fine with that end part if it was setting up for the sequel. But I mean, like Septum said, it's still on its own, just a generic slasher movie. Like it's great just in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, any of the areas where they sort of overcomplicate the movie a little bit, it's not as such that it takes away from the enjoyment of the film. It's just like, well, whatever, that was a little weird, but still a good time. It just feels weird for the sake of being weird. Like I could even see her being in the hospital, but the girl from the beginning being alive with like the autopsy scars and stuff. It does feel like it's trying to hint at something larger that apparently just doesn't go anywhere. So that's fun, but I think that stuff. I mean, I don't know if he elaborates in the commentary, but it feels like all that shit with that girl feels like it was tacked on after the fact. Like they basically had a finished movie, and then they're like, "We got to do something with this." So I guess
I
here you
think
go.
that's probably the case, especially when they had to redo scenes with Freddy. So I'm wondering if he was done with the movie, and then I was like, "Well, it's not long enough, or we need a couple more things." So, like you said, that does seem like stuff they probably added on afterwards just to give it a little filler.
We'll just have this girl eat some maggot soup, and then maybe at the end of the movie, the first dead chick is alive again, and there we go. Call it a day. That's a wrap. I don't know. I think we've praised this movie a lot, though, for its simplicity, and that is something I do want to come back around to, because that is sort of the joy of stuff like this. It's the type of film we could go out and make our own axe grinder movie if we wanted to, The mask looks pretty fucking cool and greasy, I will say that. Real bizarre that they decided to have him wear it inside out for a couple of scenes there. Especially considering they did makeup on him later to make him look like a turd man or whatever. Like he just does look like a sentient piece of poop. So yeah, I don't know why they would need to try to simulate the burnt flesh with the mask. I think it was just a strange choice, I don't know that there's real logic behind that, but I like it. But once they turn the mask right side out, or he gets an actual mask from the dude later on in the film, the nerd guy, that mask looks pretty cool. Don't you own it, Cody, or is that just a similar looking mask?
I do not have that one now. It is a great mask though.
It'd be a cool one to add. I imagine, even without buying them from Sterling, I would think that a lot of these are probably just random Halloween masks from some obscure company, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're Spirit Halloween, or you can find them on eBay. I'm sure that's exactly where they got them.
Right. So, I mean, if you really wanted to add it, it probably wouldn't be impossible to track down what exact clown mask that is and then just find it.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I think that the costume design was pretty fun. I say overall, it's a fun movie. Gosh, it's hard to believe it's that old.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to its credit, it feels like about as good as any of the newer ones that they do, too, It's shot pretty well, looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we all just watched it again, and it didn't feel like a 15, 16-year-old movie.
No, it feels like maybe like 2015, like it feels like it's like from around that time almost. So real polished when it comes to these low budget movies in a sense.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, of course, to me, anything after the year 2000 feels modern to me. So.
Yeah, I do find that is the case. And like, I'm not even old, but I'm like approaching, I guess, middle age. So there's times where it's like, God damn, that was 2003. That feels like it was a couple of summers ago. And this, I could see this being one of those, I'm sure we'll watch it 10 years from now and still think like, man, that feels fucking fresh. Shot really well too, I will say. They don't get as funky with it as they do in the first couple of like Camp Blood movies. There's some maybe experimental camera work going on at a couple of points in those films that sort of take away from it a little bit, because you got to be careful when you're shooting a low budget film. If you're going to try to get all crazy with the cinematography, you that requires certain amounts of equipment to pull off sometimes. And this, they keep it pretty tight and straightforward, but it's shot enough that it feels more like a movie and less like a home video, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that, I mean, even though this has less entries, I mean, I would put the Axe Grinder set above the Camp Blood set, because in my opinion, there's not a bad Axe Grinder movie.
Yeah, it feels, I haven't seen them all, but just from what I've heard from you guys and just looking at them, it feels like it's more consistent, and that could be down to the fact that there is just less of them, but
I was like, what, there's
not
5 now? I was gonna say there's 5 of them now. It's
so
it's been, they're working on making sure that they have almost as many, it seems.
I think it'll match Camp Blood eventually.
And yeah, I think consistency, I think that it had that the Axe Grinder films tend to skew better, though I feel like the Camp Blood films tend to skew to the point of being really good to the point of being really bad. Whereas to me, the first Axe Grinder was really good, but the rest of them I thought were good, but not like really, really good. So that's I still don't necessarily feel that the first Axe Grinder touches on the first 3 Camp Bloods, but
those are pretty magnificent.
I do think that Axe Grinder is better than any of the modern Camp Bloods, anything from 3 to whatever we're at now. But
so would it be fair to say that it's more consistent, but in that you kind of lose some of the peaks of quality that maybe a larger series like Camp Blood has been able to hit in certain entries?
I mean, that's my thought, because I do feel like I say, I do feel like Camp Blood did come back after 666, and the quality has been consistently good after that. Not great, but good. And 666 was freaking amazing. I really liked that one.
I can't wait to check it out. That's the one that I have. That's like, I stopped right before that because I was like, I don't know about this shit right now.
And it could be that I watched 666 right after I watched 5, but but it just to me felt like the best of the modern Camp Blood.
I imagine anything is going to feel great after watching 5.
I mean, what do you think, Cody? Do you think do you feel like 6 was a highlight in the later Camp Bloods?
Yeah, I mean, I like you pretty much spot on what you just said. I mean, from 6 on, I think it got better, and I can't really think of a bad one after that. I mean, Ghost of Camp Blood was good as a spinoff for whatever reason. Children of Camp Blood was good. Camp Blood 7 and 8 were great.
Oh yeah, I have had Children of Camp Blood was really good. I was surprised, and I used to actually review them pretty consistently. Now I'm like, now that I do in-depth reviews, I'm like, I'm a little leery about what I'm reviewing.
I don't know. You really could do the same level of in-depth reviews on at least these particular films. I mean, they are pretty much just clown can't killer type shit. You know what I mean?
Well, it will be interesting. I think once we really start getting into things, maybe we start hitting a lot of the old school schlock and all this. It's going to be entertaining.
I've got some gems I'm going to be throwing in there for that. Several that you have history with for sure. We definitely Teenagers from Outer Space is one that we got to fuck with at some point.
What about torture?
Oh man, that's such a good movie. It doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Yeah, honestly, I think that the Night of the Living Dead score sounded better over that movie than it did over Night of the Living Dead. So it's one of the great examples of just stealing scores and repurposing them beautifully. I don't know. I think this was a perfect movie to start this on, though. It's real sort of basic. You know, anybody watching this is up to speed on it just from us talking about it because it is such a straightforward film. You know, I will say that I thought that the like sort of rudimentary synth soundtrack is pretty enjoyable as well. There's actually a couple of moments where like it hits a peak and it kind of actually adds quite a bit of suspense to the affair, you know. And I thought that the gore was pretty good for, you know, obviously the level that it's being done on. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so too.
I can't remember. Did they use some CG like CG gore, but not like what they did with Camp Blood 3, 4, and 5. I think that they used a lot more practical. And in truth, when you're talking about gory effects, and Polonia, I guess, is definitely known for doing that too. And Mark Polonia is with his movies is kind of going the CG route instead of the practical route, and I understand.
It is disappointing. Come on, bro.
But yeah, definitely
you don't need to use those stock splatters for everything.
Definitely, when you see it, though, when you see them take the time to work at it, and that's one of the things that I will give the movie that I'm working with right now. Gosh, I forget the one that I'm actually trying to sell. Legend of
Shackle Demon Project.
I was going back to the old title, Shackle Demon Project. All of their effects are practical, and it just goes to show that you can with minimal, like even low budget, you can do practical effects and not get.
It's all about how you shoot it, man. I mean, fuck, dude. Joe Sherlock just uses like friggin' deli turkey lunch meat, you know, and goo pudding and shit like that. Yeah. But he shoots it and makes it look cool, like the way that he shoots it, and he doesn't use it like excessively, so it can work.
And Shackle Demon Project, they just used raspberry crystal light mixed in with maple syrup.
Dude, I'll upload it to the Schlockaholics channel eventually when I get the full clip, but I have at least the death scene from the little short film that we shot back in the day. And I just made all the guts and like I made a heart out of paper towel, and like I think I used like a little bit of fucking Jello stuff in the blood to make it like more sticky. And it was all just paper towel, but you know, it was shot in black and white and with real crappy lighting, but it looked good, you know, looked like a heart. For it, where it served its purpose, you know. You don't have to have a bunch of latex and foam rubber to do the shit. It's just you just got to use it sparingly, you know. And this movie is a great example of that. I think the only CG gore we get is where they chop off Freddy's head, and of course they had to do that CGI. They do it in frame, so you see his head get chopped off, and then he's standing around without a fucking head. There's no way to do that practically on this type of budget, you know.
Oh yeah.
Not without it
Sometimes
looking stupid. Like clearly the dude's down like this, and there's this big build. It would look like a guar prop or something. It wouldn't look like an actual dude with a severed head. So I was real pleased to see that almost all of the other gore was gore. It was proper like blood, practical effects. We don't get a ton of it though in this. The Camp Blood movies definitely get gorier than this one. Like we really just get that lady impaled on the tree. We get that dude's arm ripped off, which is pretty solid. And then we get a couple of people taking the axe, and then that dude getting like that bit of flesh peeled off of his leg, and it's all effective. It does its job. I think that probably the peak of the effects is just how gross they made Freddy look under the mask. I can't praise that enough. He just really does look like a turd man. That could be a fun slasher film, just poop man, running around.
Jogger at the end, she looked pretty good, all stitched up.
Yeah, at the end, I will give you that. Yeah, that vivisection scar was pretty fucking well done.
Yeah.
Solid effects all around in this one too. Definitely better than some of the stuff we will be covering in the future. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think it goes without saying that all of us would, highly recommend this film to people trying to get into this kind of stuff. This is a super good entry level film for the Sterling's like sets as well.
Truly.
Yeah, I mean, show it to your friends. It's available for free on Tubi, and as we already discussed, it is available in the Axe Grinder collection as well, or I believe individually through either David Sterling or Makeflix. So I don't know if you can get Axe Grinder 1 on Makeflix on its own.
I think he also has them on his Kanaki page.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Individual releases anyway.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, if you get them for anything, if you like these types of movies, and you like physical collecting, and a lot of people who do pay attention to some of us do like physical collecting. The artwork I don't know who Sterling has a blackmail on to get to do this artwork, but they do amazing art. And the Axe Grinder stuff, the art on the box set and the art on the individuals is just amazing.
Yeah, it's top tier. I mean, it's you really can't knock the presentation of these films. Much better than a lot of other box sets that you get of bigger franchises.
The guy that does them, I don't know his real name, but he goes by Steamo Art, and like you can look him up on Facebook. Like he does art for a lot of different, not just horror movies, but any kind of movies. And like his stuff's great. The only bummer about having the Axe Grinder box set is you only have the stuff for the first 2 movies on the box.
Yeah, and the other, to be fair, the artwork on 3, 4, and 5 is pretty standard as well. That's on the Blu-rays themselves. I mean, it's got that. This one at least has that fun sort of like old school, DIY B movie vibe to it. But 4 and 5, that would be my only gripe about those. The movies themselves look pretty awesome from watching the trailers, but that artwork stinks.
I liked it. The same guy did them, and he filmed them back to back. So I mean, it's kind of like Halloween and Halloween 2, where they just take place almost after the next one ends.
Looks like he made those fucking covers back to back with like 10 minutes on Photoshop. Yeah.
Sure.
But see, I'm looking forward to actually watching them because they do look rad. But it'd be nice to see. I think we talked about this the other day because, dude, some of those Camp Blood movies need that treatment with the artwork too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rebuy the films if they did them, like did new releases of them with that guy's.
I'm surprised he hasn't.
Solid. I mean, and really reasonably priced too. All the sets are pretty much like $100. If you get them on sale, you can get them for a little bit less as well. So, for what you're getting, the artwork, can't go wrong.
Don't let anybody tell you that those sets are going to be limited. At least, shoot, yeah. Sometimes the Camp Blood one goes out of stock, but it always comes back into stock. Now, if you could get Brad Sykes to sign one of those, then that would be limited because I don't know actually, kind of think of it, if I met with Brad Sykes, whether he would sign one of those or not, just because of the issues. But that would be kind of a cool thing. I mean, shoot, if you could get that as a plus, can you imagine the collectability of that? Having one of those box sets signed by the director of the originals or the actual creator.
That'd be sweet. My Camp Blood set's not signed either, at least not on the little thing if there is one. So maybe we can make that happen.
That's the only one out of all the sets where it's actually pressed disc too.
The Camp Blood one?
The Grindhouse double feature of 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised that he was able to get the rights back to the 1 and 2 to do that again.
I don't think he sells that one individually. I think that one you have to get in the box set.
Am I wrong too in thinking that this is the only one of the larger series from them that doesn't have like some missing title in the box set? You know,
yeah, pretty much.
Like all of these are just in here. There's no part 2 is actually not here, and this one's called part 3, but it's not really part 3 or any of that shit.
The autopsy one, I guess. Because there's only 2 movies. Then they actually Meat Hook Massacre. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not a familiar one with that one, and that's the newer one. Actually,
I guess we'll find out.
Does the Ape set have any missing movies?
No, they even included a movie as a bonus one that's like not even in the trilogy. It's like the first one that John McBride and the Polonias did.
Yeah, like right when the Tim Burton Apes movie came out, like they made that one right at that time.
It's fucking horrible, but it's got like a really cool spider in it. So it's worth watching to get to that part with the spider and just laugh your ass off. Yeah, that one's complete as well. It's really, I guess, Things and Camp Blood are the ones that have the missing movies, and it is annoying. But
yeah, and it depends on what your thoughts are with Camp Blood, because you could say that Camp Blood, Within the Woods, you could say, if you're going to go with what Sterling says, Within the Woods is not a Camp Blood movie, but we all know in our hearts it is. But
yeah, it's a bummer that it's not in there, because the first 2 are so great, and it takes such a drastic shift to the third one, because it's much newer and totally different style and quality. And yeah, that's a bridge we will cross for sure eventually, because we'll be reviewing those as well on here. But yeah, Axe Grinder's great. So I guess now's a good time to close it out with our favorite scenes, guys? We'll start with you, Cody. What's your favorite scene in the film?
I got to go where he's got the mask on inside out.
It's just weird enough that it is in my favorite scenes as well, for sure, because it's like, what's going on there? And they never explain it.
No, he didn't explain it.
That's what makes it better, because it's just like, even in the fucking commentary track, it's not addressed. And I think that's just so bizarre that it's it might be one of my new favorite B-movie things at the moment. What about favorite kill? You got a favorite kill in there?
I mean, I'd probably go the parents in the beginning, because I was going to set the whole thing up.
That is a good one too. Super like that, and where he's ripping out his leg, or like the movie gets real mean spirited for a minute too.
Right?
It's actually kind of like, ooh, this is diving into almost like proper grindhouse exploitation levels of shit for a moment. Yeah, it's a good one. What about you, Septimson? What would be your favorite moment, favorite kill?
I kind of like the part where they're scoping out his pad, and he's got the the stuff in the fridge, saved for later. I always thought that was amusing to me. I mean, as far as kills, I really kind of like the one where he goes back into the tent with the girl who likes it rough, and, and she's not realizing that. So I don't know why. It kind of makes me laugh when I watch that part.
I love the touch too of him like strangling her, and they're outside like, damn, they're still in there getting it on. Like, it's just such a fun touch, because I don't know that I've ever seen that in another slasher film. Actually, maybe I have. I don't know. It's a fun moment though, for sure. I think my favorite moment, there's several little ones that I really love. I love the fucking bunnies, as I'm sure we all do. I really love at the beginning when he like kills those army dudes. We totally forgot about those guys too. Like for some reason, there's just 2 random army guys that patrol the woods or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he wastes those dudes, and like I think after he kills the dude with the chain, he's like, "Stay out of my fucking woods! We're on my turf!" Like I just I fucking die every time.
How did I forget about that?
So good. So those would be like my little moments. In terms of favorite kill, I don't know why I'm partial to the whole sequence where like he ropes those 2 to that tree and like acts as her boyfriend while he's like tied to her. And then I really like for some reason how that's simultaneously going on with the other nerd guy like strung up in the tree and the old dude saving him. I'm a fan of little swerves like that where you're not sure who's actually getting murdered in a film. I feel like I've seen it done in other movies, probably better, but I like that they included that in this. So that's probably my favorite kill. Other than him ripping that dude's arm off. That was actually a pretty fun little effect too. Nice little blood spurts going on there. And I also really do sort of like the showdown between the angry tweaker and Freddy. That's a good moment. So.
He had his reason to be like, screw you.
Yeah. You stop my rape, I stop your life. That was pretty much his whole fucking thing. And he stabbed him right in the eyeball, but when it turns out that the dude's just full of mealworms and he doesn't even need his head, it just makes it all kind of pointless, you know. They really missed an opportunity to have a little box of baking soda in his fridge, though, with all those corpse parts. I thought that would have been hilarious. And it would be hilarious if in the next 4 movies he just doesn't have a head. I thought that would have been fun. Or maybe he packs it around. That'd be cool.
Well, he's got power to the house. I imagine I'd like to see a scene with him just sitting there and just doing his bills. Like,
yeah, they should have made a slice of life Freddie Palmer movie where it just shows his life in the woods,
doing his meal prep for the week.
Yeah, he's got an organic garden out back, actually. Like he's fucking, I'm just trying to live my best life out here. Okay, I might be a cannibal, but I have standards. Like, most cannibals, they don't refrigerate their meat, dude, and it's a nice touch. You know, when you really think about it, every time we see cannibals in movies, they're a lot grosser because they just keep parts around that they gnaw on. So I guess now's a good point, though, to announce our next film. Brandon actually won because how we select these is we put our submissions on a wheel, we spin it, whatever it shoots out is what we cover. So our next round is going to be Brandon's choice, and that is Game Master, What Have You Done? Is that the full title?
Games Master, What Have You Done? Which is weird because I keep mistaking it for Game Master, but when I add the S, that's when I can actually look it up. It's an interesting little film. We'll be talking about kind of like the indie gaming scene that started by pretty much kicked off by the gamers and launched an entire fleet of D&D gaming movies, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
These are practically lost media, so it's kind of cool to have come across them when I did, and get a little bit of that money back from watching them and or from purchasing them and getting them in the collection.
Oh yeah, it feels nice to be able to, immortalize it with a review because it's a rare film from the sounds of it. So.
Oh yeah, it's what actually inspired me to do my film cycle analysis series, which is funny because I have not gotten into it because people have asked me to do stuff, so I keep filling those obligations. But I am going to get to that one eventually.
So how do we want to do our third round? Because we could do it one of 2 ways. We could start a whole new round where we all submit shit and spin, or we could do one of the movies I submitted and then start it over again with a full 3 submissions. So what do you guys think?
I think we could do that. We could do the spins the first 2 times each time, and then whoever didn't get picked, they'll get their pick on the third one.
Yeah, that sounds good. And so you put your two picks Mo on the spinner, and then you spin it, and then the one of the ones you picked will get in there.
Fucking A, let's do it right now. That's a good way to close this out. And then you guys will know the next two films in our lineup. So obviously, first up, we have Games Master. Games Master. What have you done? Man, they really kind of shot themselves in the foot there with that S.
Yeah, I know.
it makes it hard because it's not like natural to say. So I probably looked it up wrong when you first told me about it because I was like, damn, I can't even find a poster for this.
Oh, it's hard even then. There's like one or two reviews. Their website kind of got shut down. So it's, Breakfast for Demons is the company that did them. There's two of them. There's a sequel called Dungeon Rubber, which is also entertaining.
I love that name, dude. That'd be a fucking badass band name.
Oh, I like both of the films. They're
It's like a BDSM themed fucking punk band or something.
Oh, I look forward to it. It's gonna be great. Yeah, and we hit that one, and it's gonna be there.
Okay, folks. So we have got our tab up here. I should be able to share my screen. I think we can just go right to the Chrome tab and just have it share that exactly right there. Can you guys see that shit? Is it on the screen? There we go. All right, so our choices are Troll 2, which needs no introduction, and Scalps from Fred Olen Ray. It was his first proper feature film. Some would argue that's Alien Dead. I would say they have a strong argument, but I disagree. So here we go, and it looks like it is going to be Scalps from Fred Olen Ray. So definitely not the worst option there. I think you guys will enjoy it. Yeah, are you familiar, either of you?
I'm not.
Nope, not at all. I know the other one.
Have you watched any Fred Olen Ray? Which one, Alien Dead or Troll 2? I gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed that we're not going to be covering Troll 2, but it actually allows us more time to prepare something for that. It'd be cool to hit that around the anniversary of the film and cover both the film and that badass documentary that they did for Troll 2. So that would need a little bit more conscious lead-in, I would say, for us to cover it, because you got to watch the movie and the documentary, and then we'll do it up. That'd be a fun one to get some interviews with some people for as well. Any chance to look into whatever bizarre universe that fucking movie came from would be a treat for sure.
Yeah, I was going to mention that'll be the plan moving forward, where some of this stuff we'll be able to get some special guests.
Definitely, man. Special guests for interviews. Hopefully some of these in-person events that I've been, or that I've recently done one of and will be doing more of, we'll get some more Q&As for. Unfortunately, that dude that hit me up, I did not see that at the time, and we didn't get to make it to that movie that night anyways, so maybe next time. But that would be cool to run some of those for movie nights too, get some live Q&As going with the crowd and post those to the Schlockaholics stuff. So we're gonna have all types of cool content for this endeavor outside of just us sitting here shooting the shit about these films. So lots to look forward to. So yeah, next time will be Games Master. Games Master, what have you done? And I guess we'll find out what it is he did. He or she, I'm not gonna assume. So you guys got anything you want to plug? Go ahead, Septum.
I was just double checking to see, is this the one from the 1983 Scalps?
I think it's 83 or 87. It's directed by Fred Olen Ray, so that's the easiest way to find it.
Okay. Well, I mean, as per, Septum Sen versus the World, we love our physical media. Check out our newest in-depth deep dive with Hardtail 666 Part 1. And if you haven't, you should get over to the Versus Awards page on Facebook. If you like schlocky films, this is your chance to throw it out there and get some low-budget love out there in the nominations. But hey, if you saw a film in 2021, or hopefully more than one, You should check them. You should check it in there and get some nominations. We're still doing them, and the nomination process ends this week. And we haven't had a lot of people participate. We need participation.
Yeah, it's gonna be rad, man. You know, and like you said, if you you want a chance to showcase some low budget films and possibly get awards for them, you know, from a pretty distinguished panel of committee members or whatever, submit. You know, just throw in your 2021 picks, and we'll do them up proper when that live event comes around. It was a lot of fun the last time, so go watch that too if you haven't seen it. Scalps is indeed the one from 1983. It looks like you can get it for $15 on MakeFlix if you guys are interested. They distribute a bunch of Fred Olen Ray stuff, and it looks like that's exactly the same edition that I have. So it's got tons of cool special features on it as well. If not, I can definitely get it uploaded at some point for you guys to watch. I think I can. I don't have a Blu-ray ripper like you yet, but I will be getting one for the purposes of the show. So.
That's a much nicer one than what I would have than. Wow, they're selling that same edition on Amazon for $69.
Oh wow, that's ridiculous. Yeah, it's worth $15. It's not worth 60. It's pretty fun though.
I've got finally back out available on DVD. Jack Hunter's Paranoia tapes have a small role in a few of the wraparounds. They're found footage. I don't know, kind of movies, kind of like VHS or something like that, where it's just a bunch of little short videos with a wraparound attached to it. Those are available right now on Jack's Kanaki page right now for $5 each.
Oh.
I've also done a few other things that I don't want to jinx yet, but we could be talking about a possible box set.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And also I've been doing some unboxing videos for my buddy John Ward for his Dark Park Films on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys shoot me links for all this stuff, I will add it to the updated description once this is live as just a video on the channel after we end the stream. And be sure to check these guys out.
One last, I've got my oldest is working on his first movie, which this is a shirt for it. Dr. Scalpel.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I can't do any of the stuff that he's doing. I'm just I can do some lines to be in a movie, but I mean, as far as editing and all that, I can't do that. But I will definitely let you guys know when that gets closer to being released, because I'm more proud of that than the stuff I've done.
That sounds awesome. I mean, can you give us any little hints on what it sort of is? Is it like an anthology type deal as well, or is it?
No, it's
like a dentist, Dr. Giggles route or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. It's about a boy whose parents get killed in a car crash, and he starts having these nightmares, and then starts feeling like somebody's out to get him. He hasn't let me see much of it just because I don't know. He's still editing it, working on it, but it's from the stuff I've seen, it looks really good. He's done a great job.
I always like movies that deal with like paranoia and stuff like that, because it's a terrifying notion, to have a reason to be paranoid. Right. I'm looking forward to it. I like it. That shirt's fucking rad too, man.
Yeah,
have to get one of those eventually as well.
Sometimes they are out to get you.
It's true. Right. It's a true fact. I don't got much going on other than like a ton of stuff. We are doing these discussions. We got the full moon stuff coming up. The next one I believe I'm going to be doing is for Seed People with my buddy Jason from Canada. And then we also have Crash and Burn, also with another Canadian dude, Ryan. So looking forward to that. Just got to set a date with those guys. They're too polite to fucking tell me an exact date they want to do it. So I'm going to have to just choose for them, I guess. But we'll have those coming out. And then we've got Arcade with my buddy Kroll. And, The Dead Hate the Living with Septum Sin here. So those are the ones that are slated to happen, for sure. We still have several options. I'll repost that across my social medias so that anybody that wants to get in on what's left can jump on one. We've had a couple of people sort of casually claim them, but not really communicate outside of that. So most of them are still considered open. Hopefully we can get you on for one or two of those, Cody. That would be fun.
Yeah,
and outside of that, we got our Ghibli shit. And what's that? Sorry.
Yeah, shoot me a list, and I'll pick.
There's still some gems available, man.
I picked
and
the best of all of them with the Dead
You
Hate the
did.
Living.
That's some high quality trash right there, my friend. Dead Hate the Living might be the worst movie of the 90s that they did, but it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. Yeah, and then outside of that, we got our Ghibli ones. You know, next one coming up is Only Yesterday, I believe. And then
the legit best film, as far as I'm concerned, by Ghibli. So
it's top fucking tier for sure. And I think that's about it for me. I'm going to be rolling out some full moon content, like edited content, you know, over the summer here. I've got a whole list of films that I'm going to be working on. Got about 3 of them watched with the audio recorded. I just got to make edits for them, and I'm going to just stack them all up and dump them on you guys in one batch. So anywhere between, 6 to 8 videos or more coming at you in the near future on that full moon tip. But yeah, that's all I got going on. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Hopefully you are looking forward to the next one. I know I sure am. And this is the beginning of a beautiful thing here. This is going to be a fun project, I think. We're going to cover a lot of films in depth that, other people probably aren't putting that sort of time towards. And it's going to give us an excuse to watch stuff in our backlog that we haven't got to yet. So thank you guys for joining me. It's been amazing. Get out there and watch Axe Grinder, available on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.